So after graduating from Koku, you had a good career over there in high school. You ended up going to Navy first, right?
Yep,
And
Navy.
then what made you decide to go there and then transfer over to Notre Dame?
Yeah. So that's a funny story because I like coming out of high school, I was all state. Like, it's probably the best defensive back in the state. And had a couple offers, and last minute, both of those offers, like they pulled their scholarship,
Oh,
and I was like, man. So I was stuck. I was gonna go to the JUCO route, and I wasn't like a high draft pick, and I ended up having Navy was like a late offer that came in, and I was not a military guy, but I ended up doing it, and you know, did the whole thing there, and spent 2 years actually. So I went to the Navy prep school in Newport, Rhode Island, which is in the middle of nowhere. Island boy, had to shave my head. I did all of
oh,
it. Boot
really?
camp, I did all of it. Then I went to Annapolis, Maryland, and played my freshman year there. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. Like that experience probably was one of the like the biggest shaping factors of me as a person
Mhm.
and as a player too, but mainly as a person, like taught me a lot. But that was one of I call it my accelerated growth
Mm.
phase.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, my path was I had to go through that situation, and God, gave me 2 years. That was probably the hardest 2 years of my life. But at the same time, I gained so much wisdom in that two
Mm-hmm.
years. So that's why I kind of say it's an accelerated growth
Mm-hmm.
phase. As a person, as a player, as a man, I grew up really fast. But it was one of the greatest opportunities for me now looking back at it. At the time, it sucked. I hated it. I was like calling my mom, like, this is it. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I got to get out of here. Like, but I ended up sticking it out, and eventually I ended up deciding to transfer because I wanted to play in the NFL. Really, that was my big goal, and I ended up doing that. Transferred to Notre Dame, and the rest was history from there.
Mm-hmm. So even though you wanted to give up or do something else, maybe your passion or your goal of making it to the NFL was just so much bigger that like nothing would have stopped you.
Man, I
Or what
mean,
motivated you?
it was one of those things. Like, I growing up as a kid, and then going to Navy and all that, I always just wanted to play at the highest level. So I got to a point where, honestly, when I got to Navy and I did my thing there, I got to a point where I kind of peaked
Mm.
with my peers. And I was like, oh, like this isn't like gonna push me to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then with some other things, like Trump got elected, he changed the rule for academy athletes if you wanted to go play ball right
Oh, I didn't
after.
know that.
Yeah, that you had to serve first.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was like, so I won't even
Nope.
have a shot. Yeah, I was like, yeah, call my dad. I was like, yeah, I'm out. And you know what I mean? So I ended up just taking that path. And people thought I was crazy for that,
Mhm.
honestly, because they're like, oh, some of my best friends are, from Naval Academy,
Mhm.
and like it's a super good career. They're doing so much good things
Mhm.
out there in the world and serving, and everything's kind of set, it's planned. Versus going to the NFL as an island boy from
Mhm.
Hawaii who's not the biggest, not the fastest, X, Y, and Z. When I decided to transfer, like, oh, what do you think you're gonna do? Like,
Mhm.
go play in the NFL? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do it. And people thought I was crazy, but I believed in myself in that moment, and
Mhm.
that's kind of the reason why I just wanted to play at the highest level. And Notre Dame was the next step, and just keep climbing from
Yeah.
there.
Well, some of the most successful people have a little crazy in them.
Yeah, I got to.
I mean, I get it. There's the things that I do, and I tell people I'm gonna do this, and they're like, "Really? You should just get a regular job."
Yeah, right, right.
But it's
I
it's
agree.
nice when you accomplish it and you can just look back and not even look back and be like, "Ha, I told you so," or like, "I proved you wrong." It's just more like, "I proved myself right."
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. Like I said, like I wanted to play at the highest level. That was, and I still to this day, like I tell people that when they're asking me like how long do you want to play? Like how long do you want to do this? I'm like, I'm gonna keep playing until I feel like the sky is like
Mm.
tapped out. You know what I mean? Where I'm gonna push the ceiling higher and higher until I can't no more,
Yeah.
or until God tells me otherwise, or hey, you're done. Like that's kind of where I'm at, and whenever I feel that is when I'll be good.
Yeah. So it's really just this personal journey of just
Yeah,
betterment and
Right.
better every single day. It's not about the money, not about the fame. It's just like, how can I be better? How can I get to a point where I keep challenging myself?
Right.
And until that point is reached, then I guess you're good.
Yeah. It's like it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
because it's like people who are ambitious, people who want to do those
Yeah.
things, it's like sometimes it doesn't stop. So sometimes you have to take time to be like, hey, like, you know, I should be present in these moments. But like I'm like one of those guys where like I feel like I can, like I said, push the ceilings. And like I reference actually back to my time at Navy, which was super crucial for me, that accelerated growth phase. Like I I found in that time, in like my darkest moments, was the journey of self. Like I really found a deep relationship with myself, which when I, you know, during that time, and then especially after that, it just allowed me to just take me to places where I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like even I can't even do it. Like even now, I'm like, what am I doing? Like it's crazy. Like I have to think back at myself and be like, wow. Well, yeah, like that self journey, that personal journey, like I feel like that's way more rewarding, you know, than the money and being in an industry where people are looking at you all the time and judging you this and that. Like that's not satisfying. Like it's the self journey, it's the personal journey that you go on.
See, I feel like everybody needs like a 2-year journey of self, or in some sort of way.
I'm with you on that.
Because you had that. I know like Mormons, they go on their missions.
Yeah.
I was in the Peace Corps. I was in Madagascar for 3 years.
Right on.
Living in the middle of nowhere, no electricity, no running water, stuff like that. And that was like my enlightenment moment of life.
No,
where
I see that.
Where I discovered what I want to do, who I am, all of that, you know. So it sounds like you had a journey similar to that, where it gave you the confidence, because it's like, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. Everything else from here on out is easy.
Right.
That's how I felt. Like I can come back 100%. And I can do whatever I want.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So I can totally just see your mindset where you did that. You're like, Notre Dame, easy. NFL, easy. Like, and but you can see the vision, but it's hard for other people to see it.
Right.
And it's just,
I like that.
It's just like, I know I can't explain to you all what I see, but I see it. And you guys are just going to have to come along for the ride and watch me do this. And that's how I've always felt since that time.
So crazy that you say that, because like even in my journey, like when I called my dad and I was like, Dad, like after Trump changed the rule, like, Dad, I'm leaving. Like it's my time. Like that's my sign to go. And he was like, you're crazy. Like my dad, this is my dad. He's my coach. He's my trainer. He was like my best friend, my role model. Like he was the one saying, oh, you're crazy, bro. Like you shouldn't do that. Like who do you, like, you know what I mean? That's scary. That's risky. That's a lot. Like that's a lot of factors you have to play in. But like even my closest friends, my closest people were like, oh, you're tripping. Like, and I was like, hey, like this is my vision that I see and I can make it happen. But I like that. I like that 2-year journey, like that you said, like people need to go on that. And sometimes, you know, it just happens situationally, but like, you know, that is like so crucial, like especially nowadays with media and all kinds of distractions in the world. Like the self is so important. Like that'll, you know, allow you to be more successful than you think.
Yeah, that's why I love how they do it in Europe. They usually, after you graduate, you have like a gap year where you're supposed to like travel or learn a trade skill or something like that. Whereas, you know, our society, it's like you graduate, you go to college, or you get a job. Here, maybe you work construction, you do something like that. So it's like you don't have a lot of time away from the environment that you've always been in. Yeah. So, and even if you go to college somewhere else, like you go to college and it's still a structured environment. So until you, I think the like military universities are different, because you know there's like that discipline aspect where there's a lot of sacrifice, and you have to like, it's different than what like a normal university.
100%.